Hello. As an engineer working for an ISP, and I've been in the industry now for about 15 years or so, one of the most common questions that we get asked is, how do I open up a port on my router? And there's many routers on the market, Dratex, Netgears, Ubiquiti devices. There's loads, but the main ones that we tend to ship out with broadband customers are Zyxels, and they're quite good. They're quite good routers actually. Um, so yes, if you had, I don't know, you wanted to host your own email server, or you were moving to VoIP and you wanted to host your own PBX, so you'd need to open up some ports on your router. So I thought I'd just do a little video on the Zyxels and how to do that. It's quite easy. I'll just log into mine here. Now, dependent on what firmware the Zyxel's running, you'll get a different screen. I know this is 5.5, but versions earlier than that, I've got a totally different screen and the layout's different. But 5.5, basically, you want to go to an area called port forwarding, which is within the network settings and under NAT. So there's a little drop-out box there that you pull out, network setting and NAT. So you don't want to get port triggering and port forwarding confused. You don't need any of them. You need port forwarding, and you'll have an option there to add a new rule. So let's say you're hosting your own email server, for instance, and you want the SMTP port opening, which is port 25. You can select the interface that your public IP sits on, for instance, so your internet facing port. In my case it's the VDSL port, because I've got broadband. Same with ADSL if you've got broadband, but they are different technologies. Mine's VDSL. If you've got an Ethernet connection, for instance, and you're just using PPPoE, you'd use the Ether1 interface, but mine's the VDSL, so that's your one interface. Now we know the port we want opening is port 25. Now you can open up a range of ports if you wanted to, but we're just opening the single port for now. So the start port will be 25 and the end port will be 25. The translation port is the port we are translating to, which goes to the SMTP server that you've got on your network. Again, you do the same. There's exactly the same port, start port and end port, and then the IP address of your email server. I won't go into how you find the IP addresses. I'll do that in another video. But for instance, let's say your email server is on 192.168.1.25. So from the internet interface, if you're coming in on port 25, we want to translate you to port 25 on the inside, which then goes to your the IP address of your email server. And if that's been configured correctly, that will be listening on port 25, and that's your port forwarding done. Just a little gotcha with the Zyxels though, because I nearly forgot myself then. You do need to activate the rule there, and then just click OK. So there you can see we've got from the internet to our private inside IP address of the email server, the public port, and the inside port it's using, and they're using the same port obviously. Again, you can have as many port forwarding rules as you want. If you click on them, let's say you've got, I don't know, a device, maybe a PBX or some kind of VoIP solution, and you need a port range opening. So you would say, okay, I need port 5060 and port 5061 opening. So you've got both of those ports, a range of ports you've got open, and then you would just put the IP address in here of your PBX or whatever device it is. 30. Again, we'll enable that. Oh, what I did forget to mention is actually the protocol, because some use TCP, some use UDP. To be safe, you can just set them to be TCP or UDP, because you may not necessarily know, and that's fine. And so on. So yeah, so that's how you basically open up a port on a Zyxel router. it's really that simple. Yeah, just don't get it confused with port triggering. It's under port forwarding, and you can see the status is active, and that's basically it for port forwarding. So yeah, so hope that helps somebody.